Hey,
Hey,
not like we don't have an entire conversation before we actually do this.
it's fine. It's different. I mean, we're starting a whole new conversation, so
Yeah, that's true. I feel like we have some really good upcoming topics.
agreed.
Today's topic, fandom or hysteria. I don't even know. What are we calling it?
Fandom, I think, because it ranges from like fandom of like book series, fandom of like celebrities and different like pop stars, just like in general. Has fandom always been this unhinged, or are we as a people becoming more unhinged? Dun
I
dun
feel
dun.
I feel like it's always been unhinged. I mean, look back in history at like the Elvis fandom, the Beatles, and
Like,
how extreme everything was,
yes,
especially
like
in that time.
throwing undergarments on stage, people passing out. It's just so bizarre.
Well, and now I feel like it's been taken into like an entirely different speed, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like that's because of social media. Like we
Yeah.
feel we have access to these celebrities or these authors or whatever it is that you are like fanning over. So it's like you feel like you are more connected to them, if that makes sense. Like you have some sort of
Yeah.
right to their space, which is not necessarily so.
No, true. And also the fact that social media algorithms put those things in front of your face, it's almost like encouraging the obsession.
Oh, absolutely. Like I clicked on one like reel that had something to do with, I forget who it was, probably Jared Leto. I don't know. But now he always pops up. And it's not just him. It's like reels about him or people making content, not contact, content related to him. And I'm like, this is so weird to me. Like I clicked one thing, or it's like if you click an ad, that's the worst. Then you never stop getting targeted by that ad until you actually go in there and like remove it. Say like
Oh,
repetitive.
so true.
Yeah.
I mean, this is funny that you're saying it like that too, because, and now that we're having this conversation, so I was like thinking, I hadn't even like said it. I think I said it to Rory. I was like, because Rory always talks about how he was like, I want to just like live in a van. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. And in my TikTok feed, van life starts pulling up, like hashtag van life. And like the vans out there are stunning. I'm like, I could do this for
Okay.
6 months.
I was getting targeted ads by this company. I think it's called the Van Smith. And you either like get your van to them and they completely deck it out and make it like livable, or you can like purchase a van through one of the like the dealers that they partner with. I think they're somewhere in Colorado. But I was like, for a while, getting like hardcore targeted. And I was like, I want to sell everything and live in a van. Like, this
Right?
is
That is me right now. I'm like, all right, that's it. We're moving into a van. We're getting rid of everything. Here we go. And Rory's like, wait, he's like, a week ago, you were like, you could never live in a van. And I'm like, yeah, if my van looks like this, I could live in it.
right.
And it's got
Yeah.
me like, and I do, I feel like the obsession. I'm like, oh, I want to see more of this van life, you
I'm just saying,
know?
if we ever become like successful, famous podcasters who get sponsored by things, Van Smith, where you at? Holler at your
Yeah.
girls.
I started following this, I think it's like an Ananda Vans or something. And the woman and the guy who like own it and do all the design and the work on them, they look like the newest one is like from I guess like Zion National Park inspired, and they have like the concrete oasis that's very like Tulum inspired. Absolutely gorgeous. I want to live in this van. I'm gonna send it to you because it is phenomenal.
Well, what's crazy is also, what is the company that like a lot of like bands, I know Incubus has done this before. Like if you make a donation, like you make a charitable donation, you get entered to win like a meet and greet with them and like whatever else. So it's like my love of Incubus and my love of wanting to live in this like pimped out van and travel the country were combined because I got an ad that specifically said if you donate to this charity chosen by Incubus, you are entered to win like a fully expenses paid trip to their show and a van.
Oh my God.
It was like $60,000 towards a van renovation or something like that.
Oh
And I
my
was like,
God.
how do they know?
Like I'm like, I don't know. Wait, and I'm sending you the one that I'm like, this is incredible. I would live in this in a heartbeat. And I still am trying to like you know how much stuff I have. And I know how much stuff you have. I'm like, could we ever actually do this? Because
Yeah.
like
Yes, we could.
we might do this.
I
So
want one so bad. And like I
well
had just kind of gotten over it, and here you go, bringing it back.
okay. Well then maybe it's your fault that it's pulling up on my feed.
Or your husband, but whatever.
Well, yeah, I know. It's always his fault when it comes to these things. He wants that simple life. So, so yeah, so I am very much into that right now. However, some of those vans were like $200,000, which is
Oh
just
yeah, no, they are
insane.
outrageous and they're
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh my God. Yeah. So it's a current obsession, a current fandom of mine to say, not necessarily in terms of celebrity, but I've been down
But
that hole lately.
but things I feel like just like obsession in general, like I'm noticing that like we use the term obsessed very casually,
Yeah.
but then some people like take it to a whole new level. And it's like they make their entire personality about this one thing or person that they're obsessed with. And it can be a little scary.
Okay, well, let's discuss the elephant in the room, which would be your most recent experience of the Taylor Swift concert.
Okay.
And we're not going to bash any
No,
Taylor Swift, I promise
we're
anybody
not
who's
hating on Taylor
listening.
at all.
Yeah, we're not
Um,
hating on Taylor.
I would like to preface this by saying when I purchased the tickets for this concert, I was not a Swiftie. I still would not call myself a Swiftie by any means. I honestly just got the code in my email and I was like, well, let me see if I can get some tickets and then I was gonna resell them. Like for something reasonable. I wasn't gonna go all crazy like these people were selling these tickets for these insane prices, but just whatever. And then some friends of mine were like, "Oh, we want to go," and they couldn't get a code, so I was like, "Oh, just buy my tickets, whatever." And so I went with them. We made a whole day out of it. Like we did brunch in the quarter and we kind of like wandered around and like made our way slowly towards the dome. And then when we got there, it was like super cute. Everybody, like I will say, I don't think I've ever felt safer walking through New Orleans in my entire life as I did that weekend because you're surrounded by, I mean, your stereotypical Swifties. I don't need to like physically describe them. You know who I'm referring to. Um,
Basic white girls.
things that you can say that I feel like I can't, but yes.
You could say it,
Um,
but yeah, okay, I'll say it. Basic white
so,
girls. I love you
but
all, basic white girls.
I'm basic. So like I don't like that is not meant to be offensive. But yeah, like there was nothing threatening about walking through New Orleans at all that weekend. Even after the show, after dark, like walking to my car, like never felt unsafe at all because the police presence was insane. People were everywhere, and it was like every single bar you passed, it was like just Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift. And it was insane to see the way that she just like took over the city. It almost felt like Mardi Gras, where like people are just out in the street and like there's music and like everybody's having a great time. And it's just but it was all Taylor Swift. Like I've never seen the city react this way to like any performer coming in town. And like that's including like Beyonce and all these like big names who sell out the Superdome. I've never seen anything like this.
I
And
I
so
don't yeah, like my thing is like I mean she's got some catchy songs. I'm not saying she doesn't. I just don't understand the devout obsession with like everything about her. I mean, like,
So
what is it?
this is the part that might get a little problematic, and I do not mean this to be problematic, but I thought it was a good show. Like it was a concert. I didn't think anything was like the most spectacular thing I've ever seen in my life. She sounded good. She looked great. The crowd, of course, was like eating up everything that happened. And then we were there on the night that Sabrina Carpenter made a special appearance, and she's like the cutest human ever. So
Oh,
that was
she's
really fun.
adorable. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love her.
So like it was fun. It was a great night. But again, like I like to like watch shows and take it in and kind of like, do a little people watching around me and just like, I don't know, I sit there and I'm very observant. Like I'm not a huge dancer, which you already know. I might like, bop in place, but like I just wanted to like sit and watch. And like that's not something that can happen at a Taylor Swift concert because everybody is up singing and dancing the entire time. And when I say singing, I mean screaming at the top of their lungs to the point where like it was difficult to hear Taylor's vocals over the constant screaming,
Huh.
which I thought
It's
was interesting
fascinating.
because it's like, I mean, I sing along, but I sing along in a way that I don't feel like I'm gonna.
Obstructing the person's next to you. That's what I'm like. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't get
And
it. I
I
mean,
still like I said, it was a great concert. She put on a lovely show. It was a fun day that I got to spend with my friends, and I loved seeing how much they loved it. I thought that was like incredible, and I'm so glad that I was able to help them have that experience by securing tickets. But I still don't get it.
like Rory and I went to a Lindsey Sterling concert a couple months ago, and like I think Lindsey Sterling doesn't have enough of a fandom because this woman, and
Is
she
there
is
a
a 30,
violin?
yeah, she's a
Yep.
37-year-old woman who plays the violin while doing like literal acrobatics and aerial like work in the air. And she's dancing all over the stage. It is a epic show. Even her lineup performers, her intro performers, whatever you want to call them, like Walk Off the Earth was one hell of a performance. Naya is an incredible singer and her performance was beautiful. And there wasn't like, I mean, my jaw was on the floor the entire time because it was like, it was so much. I mean, it was a show. It was a
Yeah.
performance. It wasn't just singing, but it was like singing, dancing, moving, flying in the air, playing the violin. Like, I mean, literally, she doesn't even sing. She plays the violin. I mean, she writes her own music, but she plays the violin while she's like literally flying in the air.
Yeah. And I think wait, I just had a brain fart. Where was I gonna go with this? Oh, like I don't know. Like I've been to concerts. Like I think Pink is another like underrated performer. She puts on a great show and like
Yeah.
incorporates the acrobatics and things like that. Um, I went to the Weeknd's tour for his last album that he went on tour with, and I thought he had a great stage production. Like the whole show was like really well put together, and he was very entertaining. And I really didn't expect like that much from him besides just kind of standing around there. He does that like whisper saying Michael Jackson thing.
Yeah.
But like he had a great production and like the show was awesome. I loved it. Um, and I've as somebody who's been to a lot of concerts, like I think about the time that we did the whole Incubus experience with like the VIP. We got to the front row and like from there I was like, I'm not moving. Like I'm at the front row. I'm happy. I'm just like in the zone, staring up at one of the loves of my life. And but still I felt like I'm always very mindful of the people around me.
This is
Um,
a Brandon Boyd, Jared Leto stan show, essentially.
I think people probably know that by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, even then, like I just don't I can't imagine myself like completely just losing my mind if he were to like talk to me or like
What
acknowledge the fact.
about what about when you were younger? Did you have any? like obsessions as like even a teen or a preteen, which preteen I feel is like a pretty natural stage for that, right?
I don't know. Maybe I'm the abnormal one here, but I mean, the Backstreet Boys.
Oh yeah.
But I was also like, I just like boy bands in general because I never could pick like NSYNC over Backstreet Boys. I think I like Backstreet Boys more, but like NSYNC always had catchy songs and they were doing like all the dancing and stuff. Um,
Yeah, the Backstreet Boys were my
yeah,
first
like
choice concert. Like
yeah,
my first like choice of a
I
concert to
loved all
go
like the
to.
pop stars. I got to see Janet Jackson when I was in high school. That was awesome.
Oh,
But
cool.
like I said, I listen to everything. So I don't know. Like I saw Aerosmith when I was in high school, and that was really cool.
Yeah, I
Like the
saw
person
Jimmy
there.
Buffett. Yeah, I saw Jimmy Buffett when I was younger. I've seen Aerosmith too, which is really cool. But like, I don't know. I've been around celebrities, working in New York, you know, I mean, they're just people. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think the only celebrity I would probably have a stroke is Sarah Michelle Gellar because I am like the biggest Buffy fan.
And see, I feel like she would just be like normal.
Oh, she's probably totally normal. I just would be like, holy crap, this is an amazing moment for me in my life. Buffy got me through a lot of inner turmoil as a teen.
Okay, so that is one thing. I was gonna bring it back to that. So I'm glad you said that because I do know I have a friend of mine, like a Facebook friend, and I noticed that she has been to the Eras tour like multiple times. Not to bring it back to Taylor Swift, but just to maybe like wrap in why people feel so connected. And so she specifically mentioned like certain albums, certain songs that like she identified with going through different parts of her life. And then talking to another friend of mine who's around the same age as Taylor, I think she was going through like these like random breakups in her life kind of along the same time frame. So I guess people connected with her on a different level based on like her songwriting and like where they were at that moment in their life. Um and why they might resonate specifically with like a certain album or certain song on a deeper level than just like, oh, I'm gonna listen to this because it's popular.
Right?
So
It's just that
it's like
concept.
I understand, but I don't. Like,
I mean, she has that's like I'm not trying to like turn it political, but she has she had the literal opportunity, like when she announced her political stance, to actually alter the race because of the amount of fandom that she has.
which I think is insane.
Exactly, I
I
agree. I
think
think it's
that
absolutely wild.
yeah, I think the fact that we put so much weight in the opinions of these celebrities who are in fact just people who have extraordinary talents. I think that's a well,
But how extraordinary are they,
most
really?
of them. I'm thinking like Gaga, Adele, like these
Okay.
amazing voices and like there are some people who they get famous because of the internet. But like
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how we stopped relying on ourselves for that sort of thing and we're like, well, who is this person that I'm obsessed with? Who are they gonna pick? And like I'm not even gonna say anything about the election, but just in general, the fact that we give these celebrities that much power and weight and authority, essentially, when they are, in fact, just people. Like
Yeah.
they poop just like you do.
They poop just like you do. You know, I was going to say that. You beat me to it because I think that's my biggest issue with the celebrity obsession fandom is they are people just like us, whether they are more talented or they got lucky or they fell into the right crowd or,
There's a lot of
or if
nepotism
it's a secret
happening.
society. I don't know. But it rules people's general decision making, and that is a little scary.
Yeah. Um, Interesting to like think that like these people have so much power because we give it to them.
Oh yeah, 100% we give it to them. I agree.
Whereas like I don't really care who some people are, well, I don't need to know who you're voting for. I just like you are being paid to be an entertainer. As long as I feel
Hmm.
entertained, I think we're good.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, it's intriguing for sure. Like I don't think I've ever had um I mean, I know we send a lot of memes back and forth, especially with like Henry Cavill or like our shadow daddy obsessions. And frankly, if I'm being honest with you, my obsessions lie with books.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna say we need to get into that because I do feel like we are.
that's, I think, where our obsessions lie. Like we get so into those worlds. And I mean, we build our own theories. We're not as crazy as some people, like the theories that some people build, but we have like nice generalized conversations about the books that we read. And we send a lot of memes back and forth about who we think would be like this character
I love
or,
the like the fan castings of like
oh, yeah.
getting to choose like, ooh, I'm picturing this person as this character. Although I still think that no real life Xaden exists. Like I don't
Oh,
think
no.
that there's like a single man on
Needs
this earth who is
needs to
attracted
be
to
AI. Needs to be an
that.
AI Xaden.
So, yeah.
Mm. Although somebody did post a really close one. I can't remember his name. It was like something Lewis.
A
I
real
don't know.
person?
Yeah, and he was actually like kind of a close version of Xaden, I would say. Jawline need to be a little bit sharper, but
Yeah.
overall, I
See,
can
that's
see
the thing.
it.
Like, I feel like it's easier for me to get involved in a fandom of things that aren't real.
You know what? And thanks to AI, that is true because I am like, oh, I see it. I see it in this AI image, but that is not a real person.
Yes, like, real people don't look like that.
Oh, they definitely don't. Like, I mean, that's my thing about the AI women, though, for like all of these character books, they all are like perfectly symmetrical. And I'm like,
But they're like Barbies. Like they got the big boobs and the teeny tiny waist, and then they got the big hips, and like
yeah.
a real woman with those proportions would tip over.
And they somehow make these like, they make them look like they are so, they're coy, but brazen at the same time. And I'm like, how is that
AI
possible?
really kind of terrifies me.
Oh, I love it.
But like keep creating shadow daddies.
Oh, keep creating all of the Shadow Daddies. We are here for it. We love the Shadow Daddies. Yeah, I think our biggest fandom, I know we're talking about this in January. Our biggest current fandom, especially within our group, is the Fourth Wing series, who is what obviously what we were referencing, Xaden currently. I feel like we are all obsessed with how this is going to turn out.
Yeah. We need to know what's gonna happen because, well, we'll save that for when we actually discuss that in an episode. But
Hmm.
I personally think it's easier to have a fandom for something that's not real versus like placing all of this power in this thing or person that is real. Like for example, we'll take it back to college. A bunch of my friends were reading Twilight, and I have always been one of those people who like if everybody loves it, I'm gonna hate it automatically. So it took me forever. I was like, I'm not reading these books. They look like trash. Granted, they're not the most well-written books in the history of
I
literature.
mean, yeah, it's not a literary masterpiece, but it's a fun
But
read. If you,
yeah, it
oh,
was
I
fun
read
reading.
it like back then. Yeah.
So one day I was at work and one of the girls I worked with left her copy of the book. And so I was like sitting in the back room, like eating my lunch, and I was like, you know what, whatever. I flipped it open, read the first couple of lines. Then I was like, hmm. And then I just kept reading and I was like, oh, I'm about to go buy these books, aren't I? And then I like became just as obsessed. And that I think that's like why I have such a hard time with fandoms is because it's like I don't necessarily want to be that obsessed with anything.
I 100% agree with you. I also feel like the perception of men written by women puts a complete, it can screw up your head if you are not securely in place and have figured out your space with your spouse properly, because I'm pretty sure Twilight came in between my relationship at the time with my husband.
Which is like psychotic if you think about it.
The expectations that you have an unintentional, it's like you unintentionally put expectations on your spouse to, because I mean, like no shade to men. Well, I take a lot of shade to men. Men are not as complicated as we think, right? Like women are way more complicated than men. And I feel like we put these expectations on men to act a certain way, and like it's just not going to happen.
Like, I feel like you have to very clearly communicate what you're expecting from a
Yes.
man,
Yes, you do.
in
It
order
is
to
be
actually get,
direct.
yeah,
Yeah. And so I think that when we read these books, and this is when I was much younger, obviously, I'm much different now, but I feel like I use that book to like, well, why can't you treat me this way?
yeah,
Like I don't
because
want to be treated that way. I don't know why that was like there, but it wasn't, it was just like the expectation of being treated like the center of his world. When like he has his own center he has to worry about, and that is
right.
himself. But it's was really about like defining the needs that we each want from each, or like the wants that we want from each other, and
Hmm.
um how that comes about. But I think it was just, I mean, it's hysterical to like because that is a fandom in its own right. Like reading a book series that entraps you so much to where it like affects your personal life.
Yeah. Because it's like you read these characters and like you place yourself in certain like maybe roles. Like I like I feel like when I was reading Throne of Glass, I was like, I want to be a Valkyrie.
I still want to be, I still want to be, I want to be an assassin. All right. I want to be Selena. Like
Right? I love all the TikToks of like men who read those books and they like get so involved.
so involved. I love it. I am here for that every step of the way.
Yeah.
I do. I agree. I think that the book world has created its own, and it started before TikTok.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think it's gotten scarier because I feel like in the event that Rebecca Yarros does decide to take Fourth Wing to a screen of some sort, people will riot if it's not done right. Like I always think about the fact that the internet bullied the Sonic the Hedgehog. Like the initial sketches of Sonic that came out, the internet was like, no, absolutely not. We do not want this. Fix it. And they went back and like recreated Sonic in a way that was more appealing and pleasing to the audience.
Huh.
So I just feel like people will actually ride at dawn if like a screen adaptation of these books gets messed up.
Yeah, which is why I'm going to stick to my theory. It should stay AI, or like it should probably even be anime at this point.
I wouldn't hate that. I also think about the fact that I still hold a strong hatred for the Hunger Games movies.
Oh, I never seen them. I haven't read the books either, though.
Okay, so I remember reading those books and, of course, becoming obsessed with them. And then when the movies came out, I like stayed up, like we went to like the midnight premiere and it was like this big thing. And after the movie had ended, I think Robbie was with me because he like speed read the book so that he could come to the movie. And after it was over, I remember looking at him and being like, okay, so when does the real movie start? Because that was garbage.
So I think like Harry Potter, I thought was really well done. I read the books
Yeah.
growing. Like, I mean, I was older, but I still was like obsessed with the books. Waited every movie premiere, every book release, like
Yeah.
I was there. And then Game of Thrones, I haven't read the books. But I wish I would have, because I felt like the show was well done. But at the same time, I've heard from fans that there's just a lot missing. It's got a lot of gaps in it. But I mean, also those books are like thick.
Yeah,
I imagine it's kind of hard to do, not to mention it's not anywhere near done.
I'm sure.
I'm not even sure it's going to be completed before he is, unalived, because
That's wild.
I mean, he's a much older man. But I mean, apparently there's a lot of hype around like Brandon Sanderson's books too. I haven't read any of them yet, but I heard like one of his series is good, but there's one where it's like they actually make women, he makes women kind of seem terrible in this like one series. I'm like, I don't know if I want to read that then.
Another author that I really enjoyed his screen adaptation was Blake Crouch. He did Dark Matter was the book.
Oh, did you see the show?
Yeah, so the show came out on Apple TV this past year.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I remember seeing him post something about like season two happening. And what stuck out to me was somebody had commented, but there's only one book, or like, but the story ended. And he like wrote back to the person, like, the story ends when I say it ends. Like he wrote these people. If it goes on, he can make it go on. Like,
That's true.
so I don't know. But I do think that fandoms probably put a lot of pressure on these authors to create like authentic adaptations of their writing, which a lot of times I feel like they don't necessarily write it with the intention of it being made into something like tangible on a screen.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, they're literally writing something, especially some of these like romanticy authors. Like there's so much detail in some of this world building. I imagine it would be
Constantly.
hard to put on
A lot
screen.
of them would be like straight up like NC-17, like rated X. You can't bring this to a movie theater because it would have to be straight up like Showtime after dark if people were being genuine and following the storyline.
Yeah, well, if Rebecca Yarros does, I know that the show or is it supposed to be a series for
Um,
Fourth Wing?
yeah, I think
I
so.
I have high expectations for dragons. I'm just saying. That is my thing. I have high
Like
dragon expectations.
HBO after dark.
Yeah. I mean, I do have, but we're gonna need full-blown nudity on that too, you know?
I mean, if they could do it for Game of Thrones,
True.
although we saw how that show ended.
Also true.
I don't
Yeah,
feel like
I
there's
mean,
necessarily a point to our topic today besides the fact that like people are really fascinating. Like
it's the human. Yeah.
I'm fascinated by the ability that someone has to be completely obsessed with something in like a psychotic way.
We'll say unhinged way.
Yes, an unhinged way. Because it's true, like a lot of times like it it completely just takes over.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I know we talked about how it's been around for a while because if you look back at the Beatles and Elvis, all of that fandom and the excitement there, the women throwing their clothes on the stages, it was definitely prevalent, at a time before social media. But I feel like social media has taken it to a new level where it's become an obsession because you're constantly reminded of it. It's constantly put in front of your face.
Yeah.
And, you know, after experiencing a break in social media for 30 days and realizing how much of it takes your dopamine, like
Hmm.
first thing in the morning, if you're scrolling, it is taking your dopamine bucket for the day and emptying it out. And how you can't think about anything else. And that's why you constantly reach for your phone. And that is where that obsession kind of like I think originates because you're constantly looking for that next hit for the things that you are quote unquote obsessed with. Even if you're not necessarily obsessed with them, because if you weren't on social media every day, would you really be thinking about it and be that obsessed with it?
No.
Right?
I think we just have so much more access to it. Even with like I feel like I'm seeing like the AI fan art for these books just as much as I'm seeing content on celebrities. Like at this point, I guess like my phone knows the things that I talk about.
Yeah, my For You page is unhinged.
It's yeah, very much Delulu on brand.
So Delulu, it is on brand for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'd love for people to share their comments on how they feel about this and
And
or if
listen,
they have anything. There's no
don't,
judgment.
yeah, don't come at me for Taylor Swift. Like I said, I enjoyed it. She's got some really catchy songs, and like I sang along to the ones that I know, but I don't know them all as deeply as the rest of the people around me did. And like, I almost felt like people were like, what are you doing here? If you're not as hardcore obsessed as the rest of us, why are you here? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I wanted to hear her sing, but all I can hear is the rest of you guys.
That would annoy me.
Oh, and then there was a moment like at ACL, like and obviously it's a festival, like you're gonna be surrounded by people. I did pull like a mom mode. So like it was for Dua Lipa, who is beautiful. She sounded amazing. And she's obviously been like working with a choreographer on her like singing and dancing simultaneously because she was like nailing it, right? So there's this group of like feral high school aged boys in front of me who like I don't know if this is the first woman they've ever seen, like who is kind of scantily clad. She had her cute little outfit on, but they were just like, "Oh my God, she's so hot," and like they're just flailing and like moving and taking up all this space. And I'm like, okay, have your fun, do your dancing, jump with your friends, like whatever, but also be aware that like there's a person behind you. Like this kid came within like centimeters of like headbutting me in the nose. And like, I was already in the mindset of like, I'm at a festival, there's people around me. I was mentally prepared to be in a crowd of people and not get overwhelmed. I had to like talk myself through this. Um, and I just like couldn't take it anymore. There's this like adorable girl next to me who also looked around their age, but she was just as irritated with them, but was never gonna say anything. So I just like I kept
Were were they high?
probably, honestly,
Okay.
probably.
Yeah.
They were passing around a vape because, you know, I guess that's what everybody's doing these days. And who knows what was in it. Anyway, so I like tap this kid on the shoulder and like keep in mind, I am looking up at this child who like I know I say child because they could not have been older than like I say 17 at the oldest, and that's like I'm
Huh.
assuming they were more like 15.
Okay.
Um, so I like tap this kid on the shoulder and like he turns around and is looking down at me. And I was like, "Hey." And I was trying really hard to stay calm here. So I was like, "Hey, I get you're having fun, but just like be a little mindful of the fact that like we're right here. You're kind of like all over the place with the movements and the gestures. You could just like take it down a notch." And then he looks at me and he's like, "Oh, that's my bad, ma'am." And he like turned around and it was fine. So,
Oh my God, you
yeah.
old hag.
But had I not said anything, he would have continued to irritate me to the point where I wanted to punch him in the throat. So I'm glad I said something.
Oh, well, I think we've also recently decided that we have to go to a 30 Seconds to Mars concert based off that most recent Instagram post you sent me.
So fun fact, I've been to many of them. Um,
When?
I saw them at
I've only seen
the
them
varsity.
once.
I've seen them
I
at the
saw them at the
varsity.
varsity.
Then they did another show. I think I've seen them like probably 3 or 4 times. I saw them at Voodoo Fest one year.
Sorry, I don't know what just happened.
Yeah.
I don't know how these phone calls are getting through. This is ridiculous. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah, no, I've seen them multiple times, and there was a moment actually. So I have a friend who is like a huge 30 Seconds to Mars fan. And so the very first time I saw them, I was going with my friend. And so he wanted to like stand in line to get our like CD signed. So I like bought a CD there because I'm like, if I'm gonna stand in line, I'm gonna, you know, get the autograph. And at this point in time, I'm just thinking like Jared Leto, My So-Called Life, like, sure,
Yeah.
he's hot, I'll go. Like I know nothing about the band. So we go, and this is right after he had filmed that movie where he played the guy who killed John Lennon.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've been a Jared Leto stan for as long as we have, you know that that was not his most attractive point in life. So I was just like, really?
He worked hard to get there.
I know. And I was like, really? This is who we paid money to come see? And I was like, ugh, whatever. But then they came back another time and we did it again, like stood in the line to like get our um CD signed. And I was wearing this ring that my mother gave me, and it's this gold, it looks just like a raw gold, like dripping metal kind of like cluster. So I had the ring on and it's got like a couple of like little diamonds throughout it. And it's a really cool, like unique piece. So I go to hand him my CD and like keep in mind they have their heads down. It's like sign, pass, sign, pass. They're not making eye contact with people or anything like that. So I hand him my CD because Jared is first. And he looks at my ring and he like grabs my hand, looks at my ring. He's like, I love this ring. And I was like, I
I
love
love
you.
you.
I didn't say that. I kept it cool because I don't get obsessed like that. But if there was a moment where it was going to happen, that would have been it.
Yeah. I think we did a because and you know what, now that you mentioned that, I have seen him at the varsity twice. I was like, I've only seen him once at the varsity, but I'm like, no, 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 I have seen him twice at the varsity.
Hmm.
And I didn't have any interactions, or if I did, I was probably too hammered.
Well, what's funny is we were probably at the same shows and I just
Oh
wasn't your
yeah.
friend.
Yeah, we just weren't friends yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wild in my college days at LSU, so I
I
mean,
was
hello. I was on a
taking,
dating game at Mellow Mushroom, which I recently watched Woman of the Hour, and I'm just
oh,
glad I didn't die.
I need to watch that. I was about to bring that up as soon as you said that. I hear it's
It's
really good.
it's very good.
I love that she's not taking a salary from that movie. She donated her whole salary.
I know. She's so amazing. I love Anna Kendrick. She's just awesome.
Yeah,
Not
she's
like in a fandom way. I just think she's a cool person. Like for her to not take any profit cuts, and she's donating all of her profit from the movie to different like, domestic violence shelters and stuff.
yeah, no, that's super awesome.
Agreed. Da, 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 hang on.